It was a joyous atmosphere at Crow family. Exactly 20 years ago, on this fine date, Mrs. Crow had born. To celebrate the fact that she was born, her birthday was being celebrated every year on this date. And on her 20th birthday, her husband gifted me to her. I was draped in a white cloth and tied in a red ribbon. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Product Nest Day, a product built to build nests.
Wow! What is this?
This is Nest Day. It's a birthday surprise. Close your eyes.
Okay.
Mr. Crow tried hard and hard and hard for minutes, but couldn't figure out how to make me work. He managed to poke me all over my body. I was feeling tickled. It was funny to see Mrs. Crow getting restless.
Oh, how long are you taking?
Ayo, wait. Close your eyes.
Oof. Mr. Crow finally found the user manual. But knowledge management guys had failed to describe things properly in the user manual. Mr. Crow went on to perform some more crazy poking on me. I was all irritated. I don't know how, but this crazy guy finally got me working.
Wow!
This is Nest Day, a machine which can build any kind of nest for you.
This can build any kind of nest for me. Wow!
Yes. What sort of nest do you want?
A big nest with hall, bedroom, and musical fountain. Nest.
Mrs. Crow had a crazy wish list. I felt like laughing.
Sleep and watch TV.
Is it all?
Do you want to confirm your order?
Yes.
Do you really want to confirm your order?
Yes.
Do you really want to confirm your order?
Yes.
Are you sure that you really want to confirm your order? Finally, I issued an acknowledgement. Mr. and Mrs. Crow expected me to build the nest all by myself, but I was not built to function that way. All that I was programmed to do was to help them build their nest. Mr. Crow was in anguish and he called up the company and filed a suit against them. Everything went wrong between the Crow couples. My story starts here. Developers were in a joyous mood that day. They were all chilled out. Temperature was 32 degrees. Wind was blowing at 10 kilometers per hour. The large banyan tree in front of office shed 40 leaves. In other words, everything was normal. It was one of those lazy afternoons. But planned prepositions and motions were not so right that day. P.O. came off with an announcement of a new project. In pick of me, the product owner talked about everything right from the board of directors of the company to the dance competition that her daughter is contesting in. From the customers who are going to buy the product to the hair transplant that her friend is planning to undergo. From the estimated profit that the product is going to make to the movie that she watched last weekend. It sounded all crap. The color of the marker looked good. The meeting room table was 25 centimeters thick. Scrum Master had changed her body spray brand. 2 molecules of oxygen combined with 1 molecule of hydrogen forms water molecule. Processor speed of PO's laptop was 2.4 gigahertz. Everything in the room sounded interesting except for PO's talk.
Coin phones. But you guys already have smartphones. This is all about the
Finally,
product.
when the 145-minute long meeting ended, everyone had only one question in mind.
अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो?
Developers had no clue what the product was all about. PO never took care to explain what the product actually was. Days passed and weeks passed. Deadline was fast approaching. and developers were happily chilled out. Cost of living index got increased by 2%. A new coffee vending machine replaced the old one in the floor. Oxford decided to add one more word to its dictionary, and Facebook decided that the border size of the chat box should be increased by 2 pixels. FGH party won the state elections for the first time and formed the government. Everything in the world changed except for the seriousness in developers for the development of the product. Project finally started after a month. Staffing was done and the Scrum Master called up for the planning meet with architect and PO. PO did not turn up for the planning meet. Instead, a mail was sent with all the requirements. After various design thinking workshops across the globe, PO decided that I should be built in such a way that I should be able to build nests. Scrum Master called the PO again and asked for the detailed points on the requirements. PO repeated the same requirements and just asked Scrum Master to go ahead with the product execution. She added that the mobile first principle and some blah 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 things should be followed. However, it appeared as if architect was in no mood to come. Scrum Master called him up and architect asked her to postpone the meeting by 1 hour. Finally, after 15 minutes, architect arrived. After hours and hours and hours of discussion, architect and Scrum Master finally arrived at the product backlogs. Backlogs sounded amazing and out of the world. I was excited. Scrum Master wanted to discuss with PO the backlog that they had come up with. She sent out a meeting request, but there was no response. She tried calling the PO, but with no better result.
They call you.
Central Child 3 will do. Work started without PO's approval on product backlogs. A meeting with developers was set up to explain broad design discussion.
We will have multi-voluminous, decentralized, invariantly cohesive components. This component MN23 will have a permissible interface, inherited from the standard master interface that will have 3 layers on open end. Each layer is named Central Child 1, Central.
Developers were nodding at anything and everything that architect said. Frankly speaking, they couldn't make any head or tail out of it. They were all faking.
And provisions to accommodate plugins with great amount of decoupling. Then we will have 2 more components in the central component which will add to the design component.
Developers scratched their head until it bleeded, but couldn't understand the design. They tried approaching the architect, but he was all lost in meetings and meetings and meetings. Task assignment was to be made. No developer voluntarily pulled up the task, so Scrum Master had to assign the task. Developers were not happy. In one Scrum meeting, hardly any developers turned up. The developer told that architect had done a brilliant change in design. Scrum Master was highly unhappy. Scrum Master requested architect to provide new design docs, but architect gave tight schedule as an excuse. Scrum Master was highly disturbed. But she had no option but to start off with the development. And the development started. On one not so fine day, midway through the development, Pio burst into the developers' cubicles. She brought in some crazy new requirements in the project. Once the product was built, queue members raised a bug that the confirmation slip is not being printed. But development colleagues said it happened on local Nest site, but in the build system it fails because of the improper nested configurations and some blah 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 stuffs. They negotiated with queue member to close the message. During the product review time, Pia called up and said that she's on vacation. Due to lean workshops, all line managers were busy too. The team showcased the product to another line manager who found it interesting. But she was not sure how will it add value to the customer. The product was shipped without no proper review. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was my story. This was my story as how I was built. And with crow couples, well, I don't know what happened.